Chrissy's Beautiful Life, and it's Monday, so time for another refresh episode. Today I am going to work with these two photos. It's going to be a little tricky, as you can see I put my title on my photo over I don't know what I was thinking. I made this layout back in 2009. I used to do this. I used to sign my name and the date, but now that we post everything on Facebook and YouTube, I don't tend to do that anymore because I can always just reference that. And anyways, so what I like about this layout is that it matches. Like, I did try to think about what's in my photo to onto this, and then I took the green. So I'm not a big fan of scrapbooking with green. I love the color, but to actually scrapbook with it, it's probably my hardest color to scrapbook with. So I want to change that, and I'm going to kind of take out some of the stuff. Not all of it. Like, I think I might try and trim this one long ways. This wood paneling is kind of what brings back the memories, and what this is two photos of myself when I was really little. Obviously, I think I'm like 3 here. And we used to go visit my grandparents in Quesnel, BC, which is a little bit farther up in the interior, not way up there, but it is a little bit. And it always snowed up there, and spending Christmas time up there was so much fun. And so I just really want to document the stories of what I remember. They ended up moving to Kelowna, which is still in BC. We're still talking about Canada here, but so they didn't stay here forever, more of when I was younger. But I do have some pretty fond memories, and I know that my parents took some videos, and I can kind of recall a bit from that as well. So I want to tell more of a story than just spending Christmas with Snow Grandma and Grandpa, which meant playing Bouncy on the stairs, which is a whole nother story in itself. So I have like 4 stories I could tell with just these photos. So there is going to be probably a journal heavy layout. I love those, as you probably have seen within all of my other ones. And I'm just going to play off that, see what I can do. Like I said, I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do this photo. This one's no big deal. I think I will make it, I'll just trim it, maybe from like here and like this. So they're going to be odd shaped photos, but that's all right. And definitely pick a different color. I can still draw off of this blue that I'm wearing in my pajamas. So this is what I'm working with, and I will get you into fast forward. Thanks, guys. Okay, to start with, you see I just made both of my photos into squares. So the first is simply a 4x4, and the other one is about a 2x2. And then I picked 2 frames to use with them as well. I was debating on what piece of pattern paper to use, but I decided to use, it's got a pink checkered on it, and then the top is the actual branding strip, but I decided that that would be a good place to put the year up there, and I liked the little bit of interest it brought to the page, so that's what I chose that for. And then I had torn this piece right there, and I had my title all ready to go, and I'm gonna come back live with you to explain how I'm gonna do the journaling, so stay tight with that. I'll be right up with it. Okay, so I would like to show you my dilemma here and where I'm at and what my brain is thinking. This is normally not something I put in my videos. I normally cut it out. I do a lot of pre-planning for my videos personally, so it goes faster because I am actually quite a slow scrapbooker. So I simply took some of my Sharpie pens. I have a range of colors here, although I do tend to only use a certain few. And I kind of picked a few out that I thought maybe would work. And I'm leaning towards using pink on pink. The nice thing is I will know right away if it doesn't look good. And if it doesn't, I can switch to gray or even to a black, which will cover it up, no problem. I was thinking about using this green, but it is the wrong shade. So this one is a definite out. Anyway, so that's how I a lot of times decide what color I want to use if I'm a little iffy about it. I really wish I had this color, and I don't. I searched and I don't have it. because that would have been perfect as well. Now this is where my dilemma's at. I am trying to decide if I want to put my journaling on this side, and so it's going to be an L like this. Triangle though, because I have this 1989 right here, so it would be a triangle. I'd have to add gold somewhere, like up in this corner somewhere. There has to be gold so that it ties in. But other than that, so that's my one option. My other option is to do it this way, and then it's an L. So I don't know. I cannot decide which way I want to do it. Obviously, if I put it this way, it's going to be, when you look at the album, it will be on the right hand side, because the journaling, to me, that's what it would be like. As where if I did it on this side, it could be on the left. But I do know that a lot of times I put my journaling on the left, because that's kind of a go-to thing with, you know, when you start writing, you always start in the left, upper top left. So I almost want to do it this way, just so it's a little bit different. And I think I will. So I think I just answered my question. But I just wanted to kind of show you my thought process on that. So I am going to write it this way. All right, let me get you back to fast forward.
So what you're going to see me do is move my photo over in between my larger photo and the title. I slide it underneath part of my title, and I'm going to trim off that journaling in the pink. It did not work. I attempted it. I wrote it all out, and I did not like the way that it looked. So I quite simply just trimmed off a few inches. I think it ended up being about 3 inches or so off of that, so it's now like 9 by 12, I think, is the dimensions of the layout now. It was worth trying, and I was willing to do it because I had a backup plan where if it didn't fit, I could do my journaling another way, which is how the final product turns out. So I knew it was a little risky, but with the backup plan, I was willing to do it. So you're just seeing me rearrange my photos now, so it's a little bit of a reverse. Not a big deal. I'm looking pretty face at you, face on with the photos, so the direction of them wasn't a huge deal. I apply that 1989 up at the top corner. I still really like the way that that looked, and I will rewrite my journaling. I'm just kind of showing you how the pink wasn't the right option, so instead I'm going to write in the gray instead. I was really thinking about how I wanted to do this, because once again, this is now my only shot and I will mess it up. So I do decide though, however, I should probably think a little bit more about my embellishments before I do any more writing. So I pull this gold frame, like a floral frame, but in gold, embossed, you know, that foil. And then I just do a few other layering. I really loved the layering. I think it was a nice added touch to it. So I just kind of play around and add a few pieces here and there. That part was fun. I love to do the embellishments. That's always the best part about layouts, right? Another thing that was really nice about redoing this is I rewrote my journaling, and I really love the way that I rewrote it. So the first time I was kind of just talking about how the trip it took to get to Quesnel, and like I kind of wrote it as if I was still a little girl almost. And so the second time around, I wrote it still with a throwback to being a little girl and what I remember, but writing it more in this, you know, as an adult. So I like it a lot better. I also kind of changed what I wrote about, and I kind of described the house and all of that instead of how I used to get there. So the reason why, which I will tell you when I get back on with you to explain more of the layout, is I am going to have like a pocket page style to do the rest of the stories in. So, but I'll explain a little more about that when I get face on with you. So you can see the journaling magically got written. It took me probably a half an hour to write. I really took my time with it, and sometimes I think it's worth that. I love layouts like this where it's very journal heavy. That tends to be my favorite type of layout, so spending that little extra time making it perfect is okay with me. I also love to handwrite it. That's kind of, I'm not like in love with my handwriting or anything, but I just like the effect. It's my handwriting, and when Jackson looks back on it or whatever, like it's a piece of me on my layout. So I prefer to do it handwritten. I know a lot of people like to do typed and I think that looks great too. Every once in a while I will throw in a typed journaling into a layout, but normally if you're seeing my layouts, they are handwritten. So I'm just adding a few little things. I add 2 tags. I add one up there and I add one more, or maybe I just add the one. So where you see it, me fluffing that right there, I do that, and then I add the bottom of the tag to the other side up at the other photo. So I got to use that. And I used a bit of a frame, and I just kind of used a whole bunch of mixed goodies, and most of it is all from the Maggie Holmes open book collection. And with that, I'm going to go back with some more explaining here in just a couple seconds, so just hang tight.
Layout, and I love it. I am so much happier with the way this turned out than what I was originally doing. I really loved the idea of what I had started. I picked the wrong color, first of all, so even though I thought it was going to work, it didn't. Though it was working when I was writing it, and then when I stopped to look at it, I was like, oh, it didn't work. So I did use the gray instead, which I think was a great choice there. I added a bit of extra embellishment, and then I also added kind of a side thing explaining what these photos are of, even though if you read the whole journaling, a little bit of it explains it in there as well. My journaling basically goes through everything I loved about this house that my grandparents lived in Quesnel. And it goes through my thoughts of this photo and playing on these staircases to the other places in the house I used to play with in. A part of the house I was afraid of because it was dark and kind of scary. The fact that it was always snowing there, so what I got to do outside. And then it just kind of sums up saying how I'll always hold these memories really close to my heart. And I am just so lucky I got to be a child and spend some of my winters in this amazing place. So a really kind of sweet, dear memory, and I love how much journaling I got on there. That makes me so happy. What I think I am going to do is do a pocket page beside it with some more stories. As I was writing this, all these memories and stories came flooding into my brain, which I'm sure happens when everyone writes, correct? So I am just going to do some, probably, I don't know, we'll see how long the stories are, but I'm just going to put them into a pocket page beside it. And this is going to go in my childhood album that I have. And I already have another layout that I think is the same size. I know this is kind of a weird size. So it is by 12, and then it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it's a 9 by 12. It's a little bit weird, but it worked because I had to trim off from what the journaling was. So that's where I came up with it. I want to thank everyone so much for watching, and I will be back on Thursday because there is an episode of Lifted with Jen, and we are lifting Danielle, who is banning Lane on YouTube. So stay tuned for that on Thursday. Thanks, everyone.